Hi, Abby. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, boss. Long time no see.
Yeah, super long time, like mga around 5 months. Pero in fairness, no, yung first episode natin about virtual bookkeeping is marami talagang nag-message and nag-ask sa atin. Maraming follow-up questions. That's why I ask you for a follow-up na interview like this kasi I feel like mas marami ka pang i-share kung ano talaga yung step-by-step process if they want to become a virtual bookkeeper or online bookkeeper. I'm so excited kung ano yung i-share mo ngayon when it comes to parang step-by-step process talaga. I want you to take the stage na ngayon and if meron ako mga follow-up questions, mamaya na lang ha, after sa i-share mo sa amin.
Yeah, let me share my screen. So, actually, boss, ang pinrepare ko is roadmap on how to be a successful bookkeeper even though you're not an accounting graduate. Kasi most of the questions that I saw na din sa YouTube channel mo is if they can be a bookkeeper ba daw, even though they don't have accounting degree. Just to freshen up lang, I'm actually a marketing management graduate. So, to answer those questions, yes, you can be a successful bookkeeper kahit na we don't have a degree. So, I prepared the roadmap that I took kung paano ba masasabi mong successful bookkeeper. So, here are the process na ginawa ko nung nag-start ako. First, I set my goal. Actually, kahit anong bagay na sisimulan ko, I always plan. Kasi for me, it will give you a clear direction or a clearer path how you want to see yourself and at least mabivisualize mo yung goal mo. And then, contemplations, and then preparations, action, and maintenance. So, I'm going to discuss each of these things, iisa-isahin natin siya. So, let's start sa set your goal. For this one, sinusunod ko yung sinasabi nila madalas, have a SMART goal. I know most of you narinig na to, tong SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Nung nag-start ako, what I did was, I make a list of what I already know and things that I need to know. And then, paano ko ba malalaman yung mga bagay na I need to know? So, what I did was, I checked yung job post or job ads sa Online Job PH to be specific. And then, from Online Job PH, ang keyword na ginamit ko is bookkeeper. And then, sa bookkeeper na yon, let's say, for example, this one, for this specific role, chinek ko yung mga kailangan gawin like monthly financial report, managing all financials using Xero or QBO. Yung pinaka-basic na chinecheck ko, yung specific role. And then, i-check ko kung ano ba yung alam ko saka yung hindi ko pa alam. And then, I make a list of items na hindi ko alam. So, yun yung target kong aralin. So, that's how I make a list.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then for contemplation, actually after making a list, you know na where to start kung dapat mong aralin na hindi mo alam. Ako naman kasi nung nag-start ako, kahit paano meron ako knowledge sa accounting. So for the beginner talaga, in zero knowledge, ang masasuggest ko is start working on the basic. Kasi yung basic is, yun yung foundation ng knowledge mo. So know basic accounting principle, learn accounting terminologies, and yung parts of financial reports. So this is the second advice that I can give you. Sabi nga nila, basic is the foundation. So if you don't know the basic, malilito ka during the process. So if you don't know anything about accounting, Google is the key. You can search sa Google about basic accounting principle. You can learn accounting terminologies and part of financial report. And then, next naman is yung preparation. So, nakapag-aral ka na, alam mo na yung aaralin mo, you need to identify your target market. Why I need to identify my target market? Kasi para may focus ka. For example, yung location ng target market mo and what industries. For the location kasi, for example, mostly ang bookkeeper ang tina-target na client is US-based and Australian-based client. For US-based kasi, ang ginagamit nila na system, most of them is QuickBooks Online. So when you know your target market na nasa US, ang aaralin mo munang una is QuickBooks Online. Pero kapag ang gusto mo naman is morning shift, go for Australian client. Sa iyo kasi, mostly na system na ginagamit nila is Xero app. So you can focus on that. Why you need to focus? Kasi for me, mas okay na may specialization kayo. For example, ako personally, masasabi kong I'm a QuickBooks expert. Kasi yung target market ko is nasa US. Pag nailagay nyo sa title nyo ang salitang expert, doon na mag-start yung earnings nyo and mas madaling ma-achieve ang 6 digits goal. Unlike na jack of all trades kayo, ang dami nyo nga alam na system pero hindi kayo expert. So, mas mababa yung mga rate na makukuha nyo kasi you cannot brand yourself as an expert. And then also, by focusing on your target market, alam nyo rin yung aaralin nyo na tax rules and tax compliances. For example, sa USA, IRS, yung Internal Revenue Service, yung tax bureau nila, parang ganun. And then sa EU naman is ATO or Australia Taxation. Each country, like for example sa atin BIR, merong iba't ibang rulings tungkol sa tax compliance. So at least sa isang knowledge, makakapag-focus kayo and mas maaaral nyo. Mas madaling mag-apply. And then the next one naman is reach out to your target market. So again, nakapag-prepare na kayo, meron na kayong knowledge. The next step is taking action. This is very important kasi may knowledge ka nga, kilala mo na yung target market mo pero nahihiya ka mag-reach out sa kanila. These are the things you need to do para ma-prepare yung sarili mo para mag-reach out to your target market. Unang-una, syempre, you need to create your freelancing profile. Pwedeng mag-create kayo sa LinkedIn account nyo or gumawa kayo ng FB page and also mag-create kayo sa iba't ibang freelancing site like OLJ, Upwork, LinkedIn, and Facebook group. And then, next one naman is to connect with your target clients. Send a connection. I'll show you my LinkedIn account. Makikita nyo kung sino yung mga sinesearch ko na tao. Accounting, President, Founder, Finance, CPA. Doon ako nakikipag-connect kasi sila yung target market ko. And then, next one is post valuable tips. This is very important na makita nila na you're very active to help. Kung i-add nyo ako sa LinkedIn account, makikita nyo na halos everyday nagpo-post ako ng mga bookkeeping tips, mga related sa bookkeeping or mga tips on how to manage your time, mga ganyan. Kasi gusto kong ma-aware sila na nag-i-exist ako sa profile nila. Actually, may nag-reach out na sa akin na isang CPA na nasabi niya na follower ko daw siya and then nagtatanong siya for possible long-term partnership. So, di ba, very effective talaga ang pagpo-post sa LinkedIn. And then, also, you can try din naman, sumali kayo sa iba't ibang Facebook group. Kasali ako sa mga bookkeeping na group, sa mga entrepreneurs na group, mga CPA na groups. Napakadali lang naman maghanap ng specific group. I know may YouTube video ka na doon, Boss Uy, no? You can check na lang siguro yung kay Boss Uy kung paano mag-join sa mga business owners group. And then, mag-post ka doon ng valuable tips, makipag-interact ka, and that comes yung building rapport. When you say building rapport, like, makipag-interact ka muna sa target market mo. For me, kunwari, yung CPA nag-post, magko-comment ka, that's great, ganyan-ganyan, thanks for sharing. Yung parang in that way, makikita ka niya and yung tinatawag na retention, maaalala ka niya in a way. And then, pag nagko-comment-comment na kayo sa isa't isa, nagre-reply na siya sa'yo, there you can pitch your service. Hinuli ko yung pitch your service kasi ang pangit naman, nakaka-connect mo lang, mag-pitch ka na ng service mo. You need to establish kung ano yung ginagawa mo bago ka mag-pitch sa kanya ng service. And then, second one is you can also apply sa different freelancing site, OLJ, Upwork, LinkedIn, and Facebook group. The last topic is yung maintenance and reinforcement. As you can see, yung market natin is growing. Hindi naman every month, pero most of the time, may bago. Like, for example na lang, let's say, kay QuickBooks Online, lagi silang may upgrades. So, we need to catch up sa mga updates, mga bagong cloud accounting software, and also we need to continue adding valuable service. In my case, kasi nung nag-start ako as a bookkeeper, mostly, yun lang yung ginagawa ko, bookkeeping lang, dun lang ako focus sa books ni client. And then later on, nag-add ako ng service na payroll. May client ako na nagpe-payroll ako. Paano ko siya natututunan? Be proactive. When we say proactive, like for example, yung client ko naman is nagtanong lang sa akin if I can do payroll. Siyempre, naging honest ako na wala pa akong experience. So, he provided me the materials. So, inaral ko na lang siya and luckily, natutunan ko yung process noon and nagpe-payroll na ako sa kanya. Ang maganda doon, gamit ko yung pagpe-payroll sa second client ko. Siyempre, from bookkeeper, nagkaroon na ako ng additional skills na nagpe-payroll ako. And also, for example, from bookkeeper lang na books lang, nagpe-payroll ako and ngayon, nagpe-prepare na ako ng tax sa iba kong client. Paano naman ako napunta doon? Siyempre, naging proactive lang din ulit ako. Nung nagtanong nagtanong yung client ko kung I can prepare ba yung tax, and then binigyan niya ulit ako ng materials. So, inaral ko lang siya. And lastly, be consistent. Syempre, hindi pwede na stagnant tayo, na doon na lang tayo. Syempre, lumalaki yung market, yung competition. So, kailangan consistent tayo sa mga ginagawa natin. Sabi ko nga, learning is a never-ending process. Yun yung kailangan nating matuto. And I know, lagi kong sinasabi sa inyo, always be resourceful. Yun ang pinaka-importante. Ang galing na ngayon kasi meron ng YouTube. Dati kasi wala pang masyadong mga tutorial on how to do things. Pero ngayon lahat nasa internet na. So I think that's all I can share, boss, regarding on how to be a bookkeeper. Hope na may natutunan kayo.
Yes, thank you so much talaga, Abby, for the detailed na parang walkthrough, no, on how they can start virtual bookkeeping. Kahit hindi sila accounting graduates, I think that is very nice idea for them na, okay, ganito pala yung how can I start doing this type of work. So, balik tayo sa first step, which I really like your technique on how to set goals. When you set goals, dapat i-check mo muna yung mga alam mo na at kailangan mo pang malaman. Make a list. I like that, Abby, na shinare mo na yung technique mo is that pupunta ka sa mga nagpo-post ng nag-look ng mga virtual bookkeepers. Tapos sine-check mo lang yung mga gustong ipagawa. Ilagay mo siya sa alam mo na or sa hindi mo pa alam. So, when you are going to parang learn pa more, ang i-make sure mo na malalaman mo or matutunan mo is yung mga nakalist mo na, oy, hindi ko pa to alam pero pinapagawa to ni client. Pwede din yan kahit hindi sa bookkeeping na work, pwede yan na technique na gawin. Kasi kadalasan ng mga newbie and aspiring freelancers, ang gusto talaga nilang malaman, Abby, is ano ba yung need pa nilang malaman or ano ba yung mga task pa. Diba? Always yan yung ina-ask nila, ano ba yung things na need ko malaman in order for me to work on this client or on this project. So that's a good way to start, diba?
Yes, that's very effective sa akin, boss. Kaya, syempre, gusto ko i-share kung paano ko ba malalaman yung dapat ko pang malaman.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And the next thing is that I like what you have said that Google is the key. Like, yan talaga, parang sa lahat ng mga freelancers, like you can just search everything sa Google na or sa YouTube. Marami nang makakabigay ng mga information na need mo malaman, no? Pero I want to know, Abby, what is the platform where you always get information about bookkeeping or yung mga IRS, tama ba yun? Yung tax ng US? Meron ka ba website na mabigay sa kanila where pwede silang mag-learn doon?
Actually, sa mismo irs.gov, sa mismong website, nandun na yung mga rulings na pwede nilang aralin. Papasahin na lang nila, mag-search na lang sila sa mismong website ng irs.com or ATO. Andun na lahat ng information. So for me, it's up to you talaga sa sarili mo how determined you are na mag-aral. Sabi mo nga, lahat ng resources is nasa online.
Since everything is searchable, hindi mo na rin malalaman, no, na this is a good resource. Kasi nga, yung parang ang daming gumagawa ng content and so, pero hindi mo na alam kung, okay, saan ba talaga dito yung tama? And so, that's why I love what you have said na pumunta ka sa official website nila.
Yes, yun yung pinakamagandang resource talaga, boss, sa mismong official website ng government ng country na gusto mong malaman. Like for example, if may hindi ka alam tungkol sa tax sa Pilipinas, go to BIR website, diba?
Yeah. So after setting goals, what to learn, and putting a task list kung ano yung mga need nilang malaman, no? The next one that you said, mag-identify ng market mo. So gusto ko din yung sinabi mo na kung pwede, mag-focus ka talaga sa isang target market. Like kung gusto mo ng US, then focus on QuickBooks. If gusto mo ng sa Australia, focus on Xero, diba? Para iba yung itag mo yung self mo as expert to that. So, I feel like yung mga ganon, magdepende din, right, sa kung ano yung mas gusto nilang na shift sa location.
Pero boss, usually naman ang mga bookkeeper sa USA is flexi-time. Like, yung client ko sa'yo, lahat sila flexible. Depende lang sa schedule, hindi naman everyday, di ba? So, we can still negotiate.
My question about that, Abby, is that since you said na flexible lang yung time talaga ng mga tasks mostly as a bookkeeper. So, hindi na necessary kung US night shift ka din, di ba? As long as matapos mo yung task. Depende din, no, sa client. I'm not sure.
May mga client na gusto na kagaya ka ng time zone nila. Pero sa experience ko, kasi kahit sa mga job posting, kapag bookkeeper lang talaga yung ina-applyan mo, i-require ka lang nila na mag-go sa time zone nila kung may meeting. Pero for the report, saka yung daily routine mo talaga, it's really up to you. Pero baka lang, kasi personally ako, hindi ako nag-a-apply kapag graveyard.
Yeah.
Siguro mag-a-apply ako pag malaki yung rate. Ganun. Pero,
negotiable.
oo.
Yung sinabi mo din na how to reach out sa mga prospect clients, ito kasi most of the questions na nababasa ko, no, sa mga comments. So din yung always na na-receive namin ng message, how to get clients daw if you are a bookkeeper. So, you said there, pwedeng makagawa ng profile sa mga third-party platforms like Upwork and OLJ, pwede din sa LinkedIn. So, those are the platforms na always kang nakakakuha ng clients?
LinkedIn talaga, best friend ko talaga si LinkedIn. Ang pinaka-favorite na platform ko is LinkedIn kasi as per experience, mga clients sa LinkedIn, malalaki yung rate na ibigay nila since na direct client ka and yung job post nila is open sa lahat, yung mga remote workers. Unlike sa OLJ kasi ngayon, pag sinabi kasi na from the Philippines, mostly yung rate is mababa kasi nga yung cost of living natin is mababa. So sa mga clients sa LinkedIn is they don't see that way na porket nasa Philippines ka, yung rate mo is dapat mas mababa, ganyan. That's why I'm very active sa LinkedIn kasi nagbibuild ako na profile ko talaga na reputation. In that way, at least yung mga target market ko, sila na yung mag-reach out sa akin. I don't need to send them messages. And to be honest, hindi na ako nag-a-apply. Nag-stop na ako mag-apply. Pero may mga nag-reach out pa rin ng mga clients. Yun yung kagandahan kapag establish yung profile mo.
Exactly. So, ngayon, more on inbound na. Wala ka ng outbound.
Inquiries na.
I'm so glad to hear that, Abby, na right now, parang nag-wait ka na lang ng mga inbound queries about your services. Tama yung sinabi mo na once your profile is being optimized and you are active there, mas madaling makakuha ng clients and you don't have to pitch your services anymore, which is easier para sa atin, mga freelancers. So far now, you are recommending talaga to optimize their links and be active, and then you build a rapport with the prospect clients para mas makilala ka nila, okay, virtual bookkeeper pala siya or something like that. The last step is yung you maintain clients and also always learn something new to give more services pa to your clients. Totoo yan. You always have to be a lifelong learner. You always study talaga. Sa kadami-dami ng gustong mag-online freelancer, kadalasan na kinukuha is yung mga either my experience or something na low rate. Gano'n na lang, di ba? So you have to update your skills always para ikaw pa rin yung piliin and ma-maintain mo yung mga clients mo before and maka-give ka ng better services pa sa kanila. That's nice. I think that's that. Can you please share to us your mga free webinars? You have an upcoming webinars this October.
Wait lang yung kodigo ko dyan. On October 17, meron akong free webinar. Yung title ng free webinar ko is Accounting for Non-Accounting Graduates. So, doon, ang ituturo ko ay basic accounting terminologies, basic accounting reports, sample financial statement, what is GAAP, and difference between cash and accrual reporting. So, di ba, what you need to learn, ako na yung magpo-provide. You just need to attend yung free webinar. And then, on October 24 to 25, yung webinar topic ko is Introduction to QuickBooks Online. This is the batch 3. Dito, ang ituturo ko is a walkthrough on how to use QuickBooks Online. Meron tayong mga actual sample. And then, ang maganda rito is you can be interactive. Meron tayong interactions, you can ask questions and all. So, that's the upcoming webinar for October. And then, on November, meron akong free webinar again. And yung title niya is Profile, Optimizations, and Proposal Writing. So, if you are a bookkeeper and gusto mo malaman on how to optimize your freelancing profile and ma-brand yung sarili mo as a bookkeeper, December, I suggest you join the upcoming webinar this November. So yung schedule niya is wala pa. Actually, monthly boss, those are the 3 topics na dinidiscuss ko.
Okay. You're talking kadalasan sa mga accounting graduates, right?
Ang goal ko kasi is bigyan ko sila ng webinar series. Like, for example, yung profile optimization. Kasi yun yung start. Sabi ko nga, always start sa basic. Then, since na most of my audience are non-accounting graduates, wino-walk through ko na rin sila what are the reports. And then, pag alam na nila yung reports and terminologies, for sure, makaka-relate na sila on how to use QuickBooks online. So, that's the goal.
Yes. Thank you so much for that, Abby. I'm so happy that you are really sharing your knowledge pa na you are thinking kung ano yung need talaga na as in super start talaga na from scratch talaga. You are helping them to take that baby steps ba together. As what you have shared before na yan yung parang hindi mo na experience before kasi you are just learning by yourself and you are trying to help other people. Thank you so much, Abby, talaga.
Actually, boss, at December, lahat ng graduates ng Introduction to QuickBooks Online, ang ituturo ko naman is QuickBooks Mastery. So, doon ituturo ko yung mga special entries because, for example, sa daily routine namin is may mga special scenarios kami na encounter na yung mga beginner, as for myself, nung beginner ako, is hindi ko alam gawin kung sa QuickBooks. So, doon, inilist ko na lahat ng special scenario na na-encounter ko with my almost 3 years experience and then ituturo ko na sa kanila on how to do it.
So, thank you so
much. Up December.
Parang may phase 2 or level 2 of the introduction na, diba?
Yes.
I'm so glad. So happy to hear that. Sige. I would like all of you, if you're watching this, just go sa baba. Ilalagay ko yung link ni Abby sa page niya kasi always siya nag-a-update doon sa lahat ng mga ganap, sa lahat ng mga free webinars kung meron siyang mga natutunan na bago. Thank you so much talaga, Abby. And I'm so grateful again na you are helping other aspiring and newbie bookkeepers to start their journey as well. This is so exciting na yung makita mo yung journey nila ba from scratch talaga.
Yes.
Fulfilling. Thank you so much for that, Abby. And now I want to ask your piece of advice para sa mga aspiring and newbie virtual bookkeepers.
For me, if you're aspiring virtual bookkeeper pero you're not an accountancy graduate, always find something to encourage yourself. And also, do not let other words na ma-discourage ka. For example, there's a Facebook group na kasali ako and then there's this aspirant virtual bookkeeper na nagtanong sa group na yon kung pwede pa daw siya maging bookkeeper. Kaya lang, hindi siya accountancy graduate. So, I feel bad na may mga nagko-comment na mga BSA or yung iba CPA doon na hindi daw kasi sabi niya kung ikaw ba daw si client is ipapagkatiwala mo yung books mo sa isang tao na hindi BS accountancy. So, for me, kung ako yung nasa katayuan nung nagtanong, madi-discourage ako and madadown ako siguro. So, sa experience ko in 3 years, never may nagtanong sa akin ng course na natapos ko. Especially nga, sabi ko nga si Boss Roy, hindi niya alam na marketing graduate. Na-hire ako at pinitch niya ako sa client for sure. Kasi hindi niya rin tinanong.
Kaya hindi ko tinanong.
Diba? Kahit yung mga clients na meron ako ngayon, never silang nagtanong kung ano yung natapos ko. So, for me, it's not a hindrance. Though, maybe it can be an advantage kung accountancy graduate ka because you already know the process and the reports. Pero if you're not a graduate of accountancy, you can learn everything online. I'm not saying sa mga accountancy graduate na less sila sa'yo or something like that. But think it in a way na lahat nasa online na as long as you have the determination na malaman yung isang bagay, you can do that. And also, sabi ko nga, always find something to learn and to improve yourself, be resourceful and all. So that's for me. Sabi nga natin, Boss Roy, Google is the key.
Exactly, Abby. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you and your effort doing all of this para sa lahat ng gusto maging virtual bookkeepers. We will always stay tuned sa mga updates mo with regards to your webinars and updates mo sa mga milestone mo. We are so excited. And by the way, gusto ko talagang mag-start ka na sa YouTube. Para mas makashare ka pa.
Kasi boss, yung video editor ko kasi, hindi ko masermonan masyado. Yung PC ng husband ko, nasira recently. Nasira yung audio, so hindi siya makapag-edit. Pero ngayon nagawa na, sana gawin na niya. Lagi kasi ako yung last, since na ito ako paying client.
Okay, so I understand. Pero hopefully talaga, and for sure, they would also love you to be on YouTube na so that they can see more tutorials from you when it comes to virtual bookkeeping. So yeah, thank you so much, Abby. Have a great day. Bye.